Today I want to talk about triggers. What triggers you? What can trigger you to either relapse or to pick up a drink? Ladies and gentlemen, this is important because knowing your triggers can be the difference between success in your recovery or relapse. First thing first to keep in mind, this is extremely important. A trigger can be anything. The smell of a car, the smell of a particular room, the smell of a particular place. You know, you could be triggered by seeing things like seeing a cigarette or seeing an old ashtray that you used to use, or smelling a friend's car that you used to use, and it could trigger you. You know, someone's cologne, a perfume, a movie, an idea, a thought, a person, an individual. It could be anything that could trigger you. So understanding triggers are really important. Triggers are things that bring you back to a familiar idea or memory or thing that could lead you down the path of relapse or using your drug of choice again. So knowing your triggers is so important, and I can't stress this enough, ladies and gentlemen. The next thing I want you to keep in mind is writing out your possible triggers. Like for me, I give you guys good examples of triggers for me. Going back to certain neighborhoods I used to live in, like my older neighborhoods I used to live in when I was using. Every time I go back to these places, it's like the memories are both good and bad, but they also trigger me. So I have to keep in mind that I don't feel comfortable in these areas, and then I feel triggered when I go there. They trigger old memories of how I used to use and times in my life where things weren't going so well for me. So I don't feel comfortable when I go back to the old stomping grounds, and that's okay because that's my trigger, and I have to keep that in mind. Another example of a trigger for me is thinking about negative encounters I had with people that from my past. So it may be someone that I really love that I may have had a bad experience with. It may be an ex or someone like that could be a trigger. And lastly, going to places where I used to use, what we call slippery places, so important. I don't go to the old stomping grounds, the old bars, and I don't go to and hang with the same people I used to hang with in the same capacity. You can hang with friends from your past, but if they trigger you, then it's safe to say you have to put that in perspective. But my advice is you can't cut out everyone from your past, but you don't have to hang with them in the same capacity. You can hang with friends from your past in a different way. You guys can go to a movie instead of going to a bar. You could go to a restaurant and eat food opposed to going to a lounge that only serves alcohol. You know, you guys can go to an amusement park, or you could do things that's not related to alcohol or solely related to alcohol. It's okay. Some of these environments may have alcohol there, but as long as alcohol is not the main theme, you can still have a good time without jeopardizing your recovery. So that's a quick crash course on triggers, how to identify your triggers, and what to expect and how to avoid triggers and old behaviors. So remember, watch out for slippery people, slippery thoughts, and slippery places. You're listening to Sober is Dope. I'm Pop Buchanan, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. Thanks.